Well, let's now bring in our correspondent, Patrick Oyet. He's joining us live in Juba. Patrick, great to have you with us on the show. Now, of course, we know South Sudan has sent samples for testing after suspicion of the mpox disease in the country. What more can you tell us at this time? And certainly, how did this all come about?
Yes, Uche, the South Sudan's government says it is very concerned about the issue of mpox, and as we were coming on air, the health ministry officials were actually for a meeting to look at issues on how to address this very issue, because as you said, there are 17 samples that have been sent to Uganda for testing, but previously there were 5 other samples that were also sent. Those 5 samples were tested. Fortunately, they all came out negative, but the 17 have not yet been tested. The authorities say that is because also the laboratory in Uganda has a lot of other tests that they are conducting, so they are waiting. But the concern is that these samples are collected almost from across the country. There are samples that have been collected from the western part of the country that borders Democratic Republic of Congo and the Central African Republic. And that border over there is very, very porous because the Democratic Republic of Congo borders a very large section of South Sudan. Manning that border point is really, really very difficult for the government here. And also, of course, Central African Republic. And then there are samples that have also been collected from the northern part of the country that borders Sudan. So if you see, of course, for now, we may not say much because the test results have not yet come out, but at least from the samples that have been collected, they have been collected almost across the country. So that's the concern here. And authorities say they wait for those results. And they're also carrying out surveillance to collect more samples in case people show signs or symptoms of mpox. Uche.
And Patrick, what is the situation, what is the sentiment on the ground right now, especially how are the authorities there preparing people on surveillance, staying safe, and also where to seek help if mpox is suspected?
Well, authorities say they are carrying out some surveillance. They are put up, especially at Nimule, the border between Uganda and South Sudan. They have stepped up surveillance, and the hospital, the government hospital that is there, it says it is also preparing in case of any outbreak, so that an isolation department is in place for people to be admitted in that isolation unit. In Juba also, with the help of World Health Organization, there is some preparation going on. But one concern is that the government is saying it still does not have capacity to test for itself the virus. So that's why the samples are still being taken to Uganda. But the Undersecretary in the Ministry of Health has said they have also ordered, that the government has ordered for a machine that can test for mpox virus. That machine will come in town in about 2 weeks' time. So there is some form of preparation ongoing. However, there are a lot of challenges because, as I said earlier, the border, especially with DRC, is a very, very long one, and manning it is difficult. In most cases, people really cross freely. They cross when it is a market day in the side of DRC. People from South Sudan cross and go to the market, and when it is also this side market day, people cross and come to the market, and they keep crossing in and out without really much surveillance, without much health consideration. So that's where the challenge will be, and if really the surveillance is not really intensified, then it will become a challenge to address the problem in case it is now detected in South Sudan. Again, also when you go to the side of Sudan, the border between Sudan and South Sudan, with many people running away from Sudan coming to South Sudan, nothing is really put in place in terms of health. Nothing much has been put in place in terms of surveillance, tests for health and things like that. In most cases, people are running away from violence. What they need is safety. So the issue of health has not been looked at very, very much. So this is a new challenge that is very, very difficult for the government of South Sudan to handle. Yes, Uche.